Merry Maid and welcome to Jupiter's Radiance. I'm Taylor, and today we're going over the 4th week of October, or a card spread that I'm calling the Witch's Hat. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So hopefully you see the Witch's Hat here. We have the brim, the middle part, and then up to the witch's tip and how it kind of curves. And so hopefully that imagery is in fact coming through. Now this is a spread that is to support and understanding your spiritual gifts and how best to utilize them. And so 1 through 4 here are going to be those gifts. 5 is going to be how to learn them. 6 is going to be how to practice them. And then 7 is going to be how they work together, all of them. 8 is going to be about advice on how best to use, while 9 will be about what you gain from it all. Outside of the satisfaction of engaging with your gifts, a little bit more of understanding about like why to even start this process or to maintain them too. And so let's go ahead and jump right into our collective reading. All right, so our first card here we have is the 9 of Swords. And if you saw the card spread from last week, we actually had this come up, and through this deck, this is considered the Nightmare card. So we aren't necessarily focused on nightmares on this one. Instead, what this is telling me is there's a little bit of a struggle with this gift, but that the gift itself is about dream prophecy, and that you essentially can become a dream walker, if you will. Okay, and so our next one we have is the 3 of Wands. This is about expansion, and so having this come out right now as a spiritual gift comes to me as talking about manifestation, but in the way through planning. So you have to put in a little bit more intention and action when you're working with your manifestation. And then we have our Page of Pentacles. This is someone who is organized and like is able to follow a to-do list. So efficiency is going to be the primary word here that I'm going to use. And that may not necessarily be considered a spiritual gift, but it is still a talent. And I mean, depending on how you describe spiritual gifts, they don't necessarily need to be completely psychic, because not everyone has the gift of being efficient. And many people are hired and sought out for this gift. So I just wanted to state, like, very practical. Also, I wonder if it's going to be a cups, because we have one of each suit so far. It wasn't. And so we have 8 of Wands. So this is telling me that you're a really good multitasker as well. This is saying that you're able to launch multiple ideas at the same time. And another element with this is that you're also able to kind of see what doesn't work. Like, you're able to launch multiple ideas at the same time, and you're also able to see what ideas to invest further into, kind of bringing back that 3 of Wands energy here. The other thing I'll say, since this is a collective reading, is maybe not all of these resonate for you, so definitely take what does resonate for you, but don't leave out the idea of these other ones not being beneficial or supportive to you, or relating to you, if you will. And essentially don't sell yourself short. Like, you may still have those other gifts if you're only resonating with 1 or 2 here. So let's go ahead and take a look into how to learn them. And we have the 4 of Wands. I love this because this is kind of saying how to learn them is actually to celebrate. Like, it has the energy that you have already built up, the foundations are already within you, and it's more just as you engage with them or like coming in contact with them, that if you receive them in a joyous manner, it's going to be a lot easier to learn them. You don't need to be so intentional about it. Essentially, it's just having that open heart and being like, how can I have fun with this right now, is going to be the primary way, especially when it comes to this 9 of Swords, where it has that nightmare energy and struggling with maybe being bothered by the dreams that we have at night, or not having a practice of even being able to remember our dreams too. And so the 4 of Wands is stating that if there's any fear among any of these gifts, any anxiety or worry, to engage instead with the joyous side of it. And so kind of like wish for a good dream, you know, and if let that be the first one you remember. And then further, to celebrate expansion is to get excited by the ideas that you're putting forward, so much so that you can't help but push them into momentum. And then we have our to-do list, our efficiency. And so kind of understanding that within that efficiency, you're able to find moments, like schedule in moments of self-care, moments of joy. And it's not just about a to-do list of task, it is also a to-do list of your life, and your life is balanced in many ways. And then we have our Eight of Wands, and to bring joy into the Eight of Wands is to not feel held back by having so many ideas, and not to feel so sporadic around it, or scattered, rather, is a better word to say it, and instead seeing it as like shooting, I don't know about you, but it's like shooting all these arrows at once. Like, if I feel like that's something like, oh, you see in the movies. And so for you to do it yourself, like, oh, how exciting. I'm taking this momentum myself and I'm pushing them into the air myself. So now number 6, how to practice them. And we have the 6 of Pentacles. So how to practice them is literally having a little bit of a give and take. So there's going to be times when you are fully engaging with them. There's going to be times when you're more receiving the outcomes from engaging with them. And also with this is there's going to be times when you're actually helping others understand these elements of how you're able to do these things, while in other circumstances you're going to be receiving those lessons. So it's kind of just a balance of this back and forth. And within this energy, because it is a lot about just being generous too. So be generous with yourself when you're giving, be generous with your teachers when they're in the fact of like being open. That's probably the biggest part here, is like just being open to the fact that you have these talents, and to not diminish these facts is going to be very big. And also that you have a right to learn more about these things, because I think sometimes there can be a little bit of imposter syndrome that happens that makes it more difficult to be a good student, because you're like, who am I to learn these things? But we are seeing here, you are a person who has these gifts, so of course you deserve to learn them and to practice with them in this way. And it's kind of like a continuing education energy. So let's go ahead and take a further look. So we have how they all work together. And so we have 2 of Pentacles, which is very funny because it seems like balance is going to be very key throughout the entire time that you are working within these energies. Oh, something that also just came through about how these work together is, so we have dreams that, okay, so these aren't necessarily in order. We have dreams that are then being implemented, and then you're seeing which ones, moving down from the 8 to the 3, seeing which ones you're like, let me go ahead and follow up on these ones, and then you're able to maintain that momentum through your efficiency. So I feel like the 2 of Pentacles is saying right there about the fact that these kind of balance and feed into each other, and also the fact of how you're meant to practice them is to have that back and forth energy still in giving and receiving. And so there's a sense of balancing between the spirituality and the practicality here. Okay, and now, so just advice on how best to use. We have the Queen of Cups. So this is an internal emotional card. So something here is, it's kind of like, it's best to use to help regulate yourself, is the main energy that comes here. Stating that essentially, as you engage with these gifts of yours, you're able to feel more confident inside of yourself around what you're doing. And essentially, like, someone can't come to you and be like, hey, this like this and that. You would be able to say, oh, well, this is why we're doing this, and this is why we're doing that. And you would be able to not necessarily express yourself better, but just not doubt yourself immediately when someone else brings up concerns to you. Like, your boundaries are more intact due to this. So that is the advice on how best to use, is to use them to help build yourself up, essentially. And then we have our 2 of Cups. So what you gain from it all. So balance. It's literally emotional balance is what you gain from it all. And there is an element here of balance in your relationships as well, because you are no longer doubting yourself. So something I say often, or I quote often, I should say, is from Brene Brown. If someone makes you doubt yourself, it means you need firmer boundaries with them. And so that's kind of what's happening through these cards process, is that you're so sure of yourself that you're like, oh no, actually this is how this is, because this is what I'm confident in and how I need it to be. And you're able to have the people around you accept those more because you are finding yourself in this just more joyous and open-hearted and open-mindedness that it encourages people to kind of balance with you rather than forcing you to fit their boundaries. And so by engaging with understanding your dreams and your ideas more, by feeling more encouraged and just doing multiple at once and kind of seeing like where the seeds grow, then encouraging those few seeds that are growing and recognizing the fact that you have the strength. It may not, this is earth energy too. So just because you start rapidly doesn't necessarily mean that you move rapidly while you're in it as well. And so just kind of allowing yourself to recognize like, no, I'm efficient. I know what I'm doing. I am a multitasker. I'm able to continue with this energy forward and check off things. But yeah, so I feel like I'm going in circles, so I apologize. The last things I'll say on this though is the fact that as you are engaging with just these interpersonal skills, you're able to gain more peace in your relationships and more understanding of your own emotions within it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there so that I don't keep rambling. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments or any further clarification or anything, please feel free to comment below. I definitely have no problem going further into it. I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Blessed be.